Recording is in progress. All right. Hello, everybody. Today we are here for our midday recharge, which is an hour-long session. We are going to kick it off with some desk yoga. So no need to change your outfit or anything like that. You can just stay where you are in your office, your home office, or your cubicle. We'll do, some about 10 minutes of stretching, and then from there, we're going to move into my interview with Dr. Sara Dooley of Network Chiropractic Method, and she will be talking all about the modality of gentle chiropractic that they use. And now I am a patient as well as my children. And at the end, we'll be opening it up for Q&A. So if you have a question, um, during the session, please go ahead and drop it in the chat on the Zoom or on the Instagram Live. And if you're watching the replay on YouTube, go ahead and drop it in the comments. I monitor those as well, and we would love to hear from you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We will start by, I'm going to push my chair back so that way I can come all the way to the edge where my sit bones are on the edge of my chair, and that way that allows me to have a nice long spine. Okay, and we'll just sort of ground ourselves at first, so feet on the ground. Ankles underneath the knees, hands on top of the thighs. And let's go ahead and roll the shoulders up and back. Do that a few times. And then just let the shoulders come to rest so that you feel your shoulders in line with your hips, sitting directly on top of your hips or in line with your hips. And then the spine in one long line from your all the way the bottom of your sacrum to the very top of your head, the crown of your head. Just feel yourself arrive in this moment, your physical body, wherever you are, acknowledging that. And your emotional body, any mood that you've been noticing today, if it's with you now, just note your mood or multiple emotions that may be present. And then taking a moment to acknowledge the mental body, so just your mind and your thoughts. What have your thoughts been centered on? Where are they now? We're just going to observe these things throughout the practice. So let's take a few breaths together. Take a deep breath in the nose and a big sigh out the mouth. Big breath in the nose, starting with the belly, the ribs, the chest. Suck in a little bit more, and then slowly breathe out through the nose in reverse order. From the chest, the ribs, and the belly, pushing out every little bit of air. And then breathe in through the nose, belly, ribs, chest. Breathe out, chest, belly, ribs. A few more rounds on your own. Okay, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, open your eyes if they closed, and let's start with a little bit of self-massage. So go ahead and bring your fingers to your forehead, massage your temples, kind of move around, move down wherever feels good, kind of open and close your jaw, massage in there. Maybe go all the way back along the ear. This can really release the sinuses. This spot right here, if you open the jaw, and there's a little divot in there. Oh, feels good. Take the first knuckle of your index finger like this and massage it under the cheekbone. You can do it with your index finger. You kind of find the bottom of the cheekbone, push up and in. Doing what feels good here, kind of see whatever tension you can let go. And move to the back of the neck. Massage where the head and the spine meet. Move your head as you massage. And then we'll move into a stretch. So go ahead and drop your right ear to your right shoulder. And then you can draw the shoulders back and down away from the ears. And then kind of just gently rock your chin up towards the ceiling and towards your armpit. So you find some really yummy spots to stretch the scalenes on the side of the neck. You find a kind of sticky spot, you can hang out there. And go to the other side. Whoa, this side's way stiffer on me. Okay, that's good to know. And shoulders down and back. Rock the chin just a tiny bit so that you feel where the stretches change in your scalenes. Breathe into it. Come back to center. Do some half moons. So left ear to left shoulder, then rock the head down. Right ear to right shoulder. Gentle stretching for the neck here. And then we'll take the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, spread the knees wide, and we're gonna dip forward, and the shoulders will come up. So your head should be between your knees, and your arms reaching up towards the sky. And then let the hands go so you're just doing a seated forward fold. Maybe grab opposite elbows and shake the head yes, and shake the head no. Take a deep breath in and out. Again. Slowly roll up. And if you're at your desk, you've likely been typing all day like me. So let's go ahead and give our hands a stretch. Pull the fingers back, the arm extends. Get a nice stretch in that forearm. Other side, other arm. Do the other direction, fingers facing down. Switch sides. And then let's do a few wrist circles, inward and outward. Shoulder circles way forward. I'm going to twist in our chair. So go ahead and look over your right shoulder. Reach your arms behind you just as much as comfortable. They can grab your seat or the back of your chair, but you're just going to do a gentle twist. Breathe in, breathe out. One more deep breath. Switch sides, looking over the left shoulder. Breathe in, Breathe out. One more deep breath. Back to center. Take your right knee up and flex your right foot on top of your left thigh. And that may be enough for you. I certainly feel it here. But if you want a little more, you can bend forward. Should be feeling it in the right hip. Come up and pull the right knee in, give it a hug. Let it go. Left knee up and then flex the left foot on top of the right thigh. Lift the spine long. Deep breath in. Hinge forward from the hips. Okay. Left side has more to say to me. So just notice whatever comes up in your body. Certain poses are going to bring up a lot of physical sensation, and with that, you may know certain emotion or thoughts come up. That's totally normal. Deep breath in. Now. And hinge back up. Pull the left knee in. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let go. Let's flex the toes a few times. And maybe point them, just rocking back and forth on the feet. And a few ankle circles. I can't do them both at the same time, so go ahead and do your right foot first. And switch directions. Other side. Right. Back to center. And close your eyes for a second. Just feel your body do a quick scan from your toes, through your legs, your hips, torso, arms, shoulders, neck, and head. Feeling your entire body. Just noticing anything that shifted from when you first started today. Big breath in and out. Oh, I feel better. I hope you feel as much better. I do. I've been in back-to-back meetings and errands all day, and I gotta say, it's not that good. It feels good to get stuff done for sure, but being in back-to-back meetings and busy all day and then taking a break and a breath, a break for breath, is just, yeah, it's lovely. I can definitely feel that I needed it, and I hope you got what you needed too. All right, so I'm getting ready to share my screen, and we're going to watch the interview that I did with Sara. And remember to pop into the chat any questions that you have. And when we're done, in about 20-30 minutes, Sara will be live and we'll do a live Q&A and we can hear about what she's got going on these days. So let's share the sound. There we go. Okay, and let me know. Here today with Sara, and yay! I'm so excited to be here.
I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about your chiropractic practice. You work with a group of other chiropractors here in Boulder.
Yes.
I don't want to get it wrong. What do you call the method that you practice?
Our technique is called network spinal technique.
Network spinal technique. And let's start with network spinal analysis. So to hear about how, someone like myself who's only experienced conventional chiropractic, what might be different when they come into your office?
Yeah, totally. So when I was about a little less than halfway through chiropractic school, I got introduced to the world of network spinal by some other classmates who are now my best friends and also amazing network doctors in other areas of the country. But I received my first network adjustment from a network spinal doctor, and it's all very gentle, no twisting, popping whatsoever. And I just remember taking the deepest breath I'd ever taken. Like I didn't really know what was going on, but I was open to the experience. And I just took a really deep breath in and I exhaled more than I'd ever exhaled before.
And was that right after the adjustment?
It was while I was on the table.
While you were on the table?
Yeah. So
while they were adjusting you, or they adjusted you and then?
While I was being adjusted. And I was like, that's really strange. I didn't know I wasn't breathing. That's so weird. And I've never experienced that in a chiropractic adjustment before. So that was kind of my intro to network spinal as it was. And then I learned that it was one of the most researched, it is actually the most researched technique in chiropractic. So I started diving into all the science because that's really what excites me. And so, and so the way that it's different than conventional, other than that it's gentle, is, you use the word temporary relief.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it feels better for a little, and now I'm back to where I was before.
Yeah.
So network spinal is really designed to help your body learn how to make its own change more effectively or more efficiently over longer periods of time.
So how can that happen if the adjustments are more gentle? How is the effect more dramatic?
Yeah. And we get that all the time. People will get up off the table and be like, there's no way that helped me. Right. And some people get up and they're like, wow, this was life-changing in one adjustment. It's different, the time frame for everybody. And to keep it short, the way that it works physiologically is you have receptors in your body. You have different receptors at different depths in the tissue.
Okay.
And for people who might not know, receptors are like buttons on a control panel.
Sure.
Each receptor communicates with a different part or area of the body. And so in the beginning stages of care, a lot of times the body's under so much stress, so much tension neurologically that it's gotten stuck in whatever not so good position.
For a lot of people, it's like this. Because we're like, Or like, we're on our phones or like on our computers. And so you have like your spine is like in that C shape.
Totally,
right?
exactly. I call it the shrimp. And even from an emotional standpoint, if we're under a lot of stress for a long period of time, what position does our body want to go?
The fetal position.
Exactly. And if that becomes habituated, the spine and the body gets locked into that.
And everybody can kind of relate to that. Like if you feel strong, confident in your power, you're like, yeah, I'm here, But if you're feeling like dejected, depressed, you're like walking around, like shuffling, looking down. So,
and that can have a huge impact physically, emotionally, chemically in the body. And so in the early stages of care, the adjustment contacts are the gentlest because the receptors at the most shallow depth in the skin communicate with what's called connective tissue.
Like fascia?
Fascia, the bones themselves are connective tissue, your skin, and then we're really concerned with the health of the spinal cord in network spinal technique. And so you have connective tissue that surrounds your spinal cord and then all of the nerves that come off of it, just like a straw wrapper.
Okay.
And so if it's been habituated to be in that position for a long period of time, the connective tissue locks it into place. So we start really gently to help the connective tissue learn how to unwind and be more free. And then after that happens, we can go to deeper depths where we start working with the musculature. So that way your muscles start moving your bones on their own. And then with free connective tissue, you can have that more sustainable change where it'll stay in a better position for a longer period of time.
Okay. So, I went into the clinic yesterday and did my first visit. And just to let people know what that was like, everybody was really friendly, which was lovely, much more so than a lot of the other offices. So that was awesome. I felt like, really heard and listened to, which is a lot of just getting the benefit of any care is just that part of it. And then they did a lot of measurements. And so, when I'd say about half, I've done a lot of chiropractors because I've moved a lot. And so I'd say like maybe half or a third of the chiropractors I go to take an x-ray. And it's usually like a really old X-ray machine. I'm like, this doesn't look like it's legit anymore.
Yeah.
And then I'd say that's kind of where it stopped. Some have had me stand and like look at how I hold, stand, but that's typically more something I've seen done in a PT office.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to your office yesterday, there was some additional tests that were done. So I could see on the screen there was like a whole set that they were going through. I stood on a scale and they measured if my weight was evenly distributed from one leg to the other, and it was 10 pounds different on one side than the other, which was like, oh,
Yeah.
which wasn't super surprising for me because I've been told in the past that I have a torsion pelvis, so it would make sense that like, which means, it's twisted basically, so one side's higher than the other. So, but no, not great. And then they had all these kind of rope kind of things. And there was like green line, which was like straight up and down. And that was supposed to be like kind of like your spine, right? And then one for your shoulders and one for your hips. And ideally, your shoulders and hips are straight, parallel with the ground. And then they put the red ones like where you are, and I was like up one side and down one side. So you could tell that my body was trying to like kind of compensate so that my head was straight. So that was interesting. They did take my x-ray, but it was a newer machine.
Yes.
And then they did my heart rate variability, and they did a test where they took a doodad and they went up and down my spine and they measured the temperature along either side of my spine. And I'd never heard of that. So that was kind of interesting. And I got a sneak peek at the results. So anyways, there was a lot of measuring.
Yes.
So we could talk a little bit more about why you all do those tests. And I'd love to hear if you continue to do them and at what regularity.
Yeah. So the reason we do tests is, I mean, if you were to walk into a medical doctor's office and you had, let's say you were concerned, like something like heart palpitations, like something didn't feel right about your heart. And if you walked in and they never spoke to you, or like all you told them was something's weird with my heart, it's like beating irregularly and I can feel it. And they were like, oh, okay. And they just like threw a bottle of pills at you without doing any testing.
Right.
And we're like, here you go, just take these.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say?
I would go to another doctor.
Right, exactly.
I'd be like, I want an EKG and, I want some testing.
And if you ask them, like, why are you giving me these? When do I take them? At what interval? And for what reason? And they were like, just take them when you feel like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You would go to a different doctor. That's
sure.
not ethical practice because they're not actually evaluating you for what's wrong. So similarly, and it's not the first time I've heard that you've been to other chiropractors that really don't do an evaluation. I would say you deserve that. You're owed that. It's necessary to make sure that you're being taken care of appropriately for you.
Sure.
And our office is dedicated to having a standard of clinical excellence. And in order to do that, we have to know what's going on with people.
Sure.
There are lots of scenarios where we might not be the right fit for somebody and what's going on. How would we know that if we don't do these tests? And if we do find somebody who is not a good fit for our office, we'll refer them. It's making sure you're taking care of people safely. And not everybody's the same. I don't want to take care of everybody the same exact way because it's not going to serve people the way they deserve to be served. And again, the tests help us know what's really going on with you.
So you'll actually like pull somebody's chart before you treat them and look at what's going on. And then when would you measure somebody again? Is that part of the practice as well?
Definitely, yeah. So we do redo the tests all along the way to make sure that progress is happening the way we expect. Especially because a lot of times where people hurt, it's not actually where the issue is. It's usually the result of a compensation of some kind. So in the beginning, we'll retest people like every month or so just to make sure that things are progressing the right way. And then after they've been in care for a while, if they decide to continue on, usually at a lower frequency, because once we see that things are actually healing, we'll say, hey, like you don't need to come in as often. Like, your body's doing the thing on its own. We'll do like every 6 months or so. After that.
Yeah, and very infrequent, because a lot of the chiropractors that I've gone to would be like once a week or once a month, once I'm kind of like
Mhm.
established. So
Yeah, well, and in terms of how often people come in, we have,
depends, I guess.
yeah, in the beginning, we're usually getting people out of a danger zone,
Mhm.
and so it's like a handful of times a week at first.
Okay.
And we do those reevaluations to know, like, okay, you're good to drop down
Right.
to once a week or
Okay.
every other week when that's appropriate for you.
I see.
And then we'll do the reevaluations every 6 months or so once that person graduates to a lower frequency.
And with what frequency do you see that people progress, or do you see people not respond to the intervention?
Yeah. And the beauty of network spinal is your body is learning how to make its own change. So each adjustment builds on the next one.
Okay.
So when someone comes into our office for the first time, you get ideal recommendations that are going to get you to your health goals the fastest based on our research and clinical knowledge and what we're seeing in your
Could
tests.
you give me some examples?
Yeah, so
like don't eat tomatoes, or is it like,
so
I'm told that, not by a chiropractor, but
right. And so our recommendations are how often we see you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So how often we see you. So a lot of times it's 2 to 3 times a week in the beginning, dropping down in frequency when we see what we're looking for in the tests. And then after they graduate, we call that the initial immersion period of care, get you out of the danger zone. After that first period in care, you're usually graduating because your body's made such amazing change. And from that period on, it could be anywhere from once a week or 4 times a month to like even twice a month. Okay. We have lots of people we see at that frequency. And then that way it just maintains the health and wellness that they've already gained. Just like brushing your teeth or going to the dentist regularly. Yeah, like cleaning your teeth clean. If you haven't been in a few years, like you're going to need deep cleaning or to go more. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it's interesting because you're measuring things along the way. So I would imagine, most of the time, hopefully you see improvements, but there's probably scenarios where you don't maybe, and then you have to adjust the treatment schedule. Yeah. Yeah, so that happens a lot. Life is life. And it never stops. And so there are times when you'll see really good ups where everything's looking awesome, and you'll see some downs. Yeah. And usually the downs come like I lost my job. Stressors. I got in a car accident. Yeah. I got put on a new medication for whatever reason, or I changed my diet. You'll see ups and downs all along the way. And the goal is just like with the stock market, ideally, there are ups and downs in it. But it's an overall upward trend with those ups and downs. Yeah. Because alive people should look alive. It's more concerning to me if you're like, this is the most stressful time of my life ever. And I'm looking at your tests and I'm not seeing any of them change. I'm like, why is your body not responding to that stress? Yeah. So it's a balance of that. And we also hold ourselves accountable to like, you're not experiencing any new stressors and your tests are looking not really good at all. Yeah. So you should go going on. Exactly. You should go speak to this other specialist or something. Okay. Like especially HRV, heart rate variability is a big indicator that we use a lot. And we've sent practice members like, hey, this is concerning to me. You should go see a cardiologist or at least your So that was one thing I told you I really wanted to talk about. So I remember just a couple years ago, maybe it was 5 years ago, feels like not so long ago, I went to my doctor and I was like, my heart rate variability is really low and I'm worried about it. And they're like, I've never heard of that. Most people know like that your heart rate when you exercise is important, and that if you're unhealthy, it'll be higher, or that your resting heart rate is lower if you're healthier. Right. But heart rate variability, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's a healthy heart doesn't have the exact same amount of time between beats. Correct. A healthy heart has variability between the beats, and that shows your ability to adapt to stressful environments, right? Just like you would think genetic diversity is good for the gene pool because we can adapt to different changing environments, the same kind of with the heart. Is that about right? Totally. Is there anything you want to add? Yeah, so it came about more when people were starting to question the term homeostasis. Homeostasis was like, that's what we're shooting for. That's what we want. Which is like kind of this idea of a resting state where everything is balanced within the body, right? Yeah. And in reality, that's not a thing. Not possible, right? And so science started moving away from using this term homeostasis to homeodynamic. Because and the more quickly your body can be dynamic and respond to life changes, the healthier it is.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing with heart rate variability. You're exactly on it. It's your heart's beat should not just be ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. Because if a bear's chasing you through the woods,
you want it to be like, you
want it to be ready to respond. And on the flip side of that coin, when the bear's no longer chasing you through the woods,
I want it to chill out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be sitting right here, right now, or like at your kid's sports game and feeling like a bear's chasing you through the woods all the time.
No.
And so heart rate variability really measures how well your body can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so on our particular graph, you can see it presented in a million different ways.
I have. That's why I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on, like, let's say women around in their 40s, like me, like what would be a healthy heart rate variability?
Yeah. So what we tend to see in our office, and essentially what you see is it's a big square.
Mm-hmm.
And within the big square, you see a smaller green square at the top.
Okay.
And your reading, like where you fall on that graph, will be a white dot.
Okay.
And so just like golf, you want to see your golf ball, your white dot, hit the green.
Oh, that's cute.
That's what we say. And then the graph is broken into a left-hand side and a right-hand side. The left-hand side measures the sympathetic nervous system. So really quick,
your fight or flight.
Exactly.
Right?
Really quick, your nervous system doesn't just feel things. That's what everybody really knows. It's getting better.
Yeah, like I touch this table.
Yeah, or I put my hand on a hot stove and ow, that hurts my nerves, or I have a pinched nerve, so it hurts. Well, really only 10% of your whole nervous system is responsible for that. 90% of your nerves is what makes your body parts move and your organs and glands work.
Right. And your emotions.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And so within that, how your body functions, half of or 90% of the nervous system, there's also another split. There's two sides to it, sympathetic and parasympathetic. So sympathetic, like you said, it's fight or flight. So it like revs the engine, or it's the gas pedal for all your organs.
Right.
Parasympathetic is rest and digest. So it's the brake pedal for all your organs.
And one's not bad or good.
Right.
It's just that they both have their place.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's one thing that's a little frustrating to me. Like I'm excited that the vagus nerve. People know about the vagus nerve.
About the vagus nerve.
And they're like, and your vagus nerve, it coordinates 90% of the parasympathetic function in your whole body.
Okay.
So it's important.
Right.
And everybody's like, I just want to be in this zen parasympathetic state all the time. And again, the bear's chasing you through the woods. You want your vagus nerve to turn off. So I just, like you said, you want to be able to access both in the appropriate time and quickly in the appropriate time.
Yeah.
So when you look at our chart, you'll see the left-hand side is sympathetic, fight or flight, or the gas pedal. The right-hand side is parasympathetic, brake pedal, rest and digest. Okay. And so based on how the measurement is taken, you put your hand into this box, and the box has two metal plates that your first and ring fingers sit on, and that measures your galvanic skin temperature. Okay. Because your sympathetic nervous system kicking into gear, you'll have hot, warmer skin temperature because you have more blood flowing to places. More parasympathetic, you have a lower skin temperature because it's taking blood away, or it's not pumping the blood as quickly through the body. And then your middle finger, there's like a couple bumps that your middle finger rests on, and it measures your heart rate. Right. How quickly I could feel that.
I can feel my heart rate in my finger. Yeah.
Totally. And so you sit with your hand in that for 3 minutes while it's taking the measurements. And then based on the math that it does with those measurements, you get your dot will show up on the right-hand side of the graph or the right-hand side or the left-hand side.
And since you're just sitting there, and you should be in a calm state, you'd want your dot to be more like on the parasympathetic side, right?
You'd actually want it to be right on the middle.
Oh, right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Okay, because you're not sleeping, you're not meditating, and you're not running a marathon or whatever. Okay.
You'd want it to be right in the middle. And then in addition to left and right hand sides of the graph, there's also an up and down on the chart. So the y-axis is measuring how quickly or dynamic is your heart rate responding to sympathetic or parasympathetic. And so you want it to be really high on that, because the higher it is, the more quickly it's responding, which is good and healthy. And so if you're as balanced between the two sides as possible and you're high up on the graph, that's when you end up in the green box, the healthy green box. So then when we're reading the graph, there are certain quadrants that we look at.
Mm-hmm.
The next healthiest place to be if you're not in that green box is actually the upper right-hand quadrant. It's healthier for your body to favor sympathetic nervous system than to favor parasympathetic.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's different than I thought.
Yeah, most people don't realize that. And the reason being is when your body favors parasympathetic more than the sympathetic, it essentially means you have no gas left in your tank. Your body does not have any, it doesn't have any juice left to respond to life. And so upper right-hand side of the graph is like, oh, you still have gas in the tank, but you're flooring it.
Yeah.
Pedal to the metal.
Yeah, okay.
And then the next best is the lower right-hand side. And that's like, I've run out of gas, but I'm still going down, like my car is still moving forward.
Yeah.
But I'm running out of gas quickly. And so once you've run out of gas, the next least healthy place to be is the top right. And that's like, I'm hitting the brake pedal because I don't have any more gas in my car and I've got to slow down before I hit somebody.
Right.
And then the bottom right-hand corner is the least healthy.
Just the neutral.
It's like you've got the parking brake up and you're hitting the brake and you're trying to drive a car.
Yeah.
And that's actually, it can be an indicator for cardiovascular disease.
Interesting.
And so that's, like I said, that's one of the indicating tests. If we see that dot dropping down there and we don't already know that you've been working with your cardiologist on something, we're going to say, hey, you need to see someone if you haven't already.
Okay. Great. So the plot is, what I hear is that the plot is really important and like where the dot falls will kind of guide you to like how you would interpret with your client or patient. If somebody at home has like an Apple Watch or a smart watch, would they be able to use that metric to like plot it on your graph, or would they need the one that I used in your office? Does it give you different information?
So it's measuring it differently. Every HRB system out there is measuring things a little differently, and you should be able to take the same data and take it, and we could look at it and say, this is likely where you're falling on that graph.
Cool.
Because we can figure out how your specific system's measuring your measuring the information, and then look at it through the lens. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So what the heck does that have to do with chiropractic care?
A lot of people are like, cardiovascular system and chiropractic, that has nothing to do with anything. Well, it's your nervous system is what keeps your whole body healthy, and it's the reason you experience life. And unfortunately, there's a divide in our profession, like most, where half of the profession thinks we should just be musculoskeletal based. So like stuck joint pain in my shoulder, my back, and fix it here.
Yeah.
And then the other half of the profession, which is the half our office falls into, we're more looking at the body as a whole.
Right.
Because chiropractic was founded on how do we keep the nervous system as healthy as possible? Because it runs through the spinal bones.
Right.
There's a shift in a spinal bone, it's going to affect the nervous system and therefore affect whatever's on the other end of that nerve. I see it every day in my office where people no longer have to take medications because their nervous system was able to regulate in such a way that they didn't need them anymore. I see it every day where like one woman, she came into our office because she was like, I can't keep up with my 2-year-old grandson and I want to be able to.
For sure.
And she didn't have a whole lot of aches and pains. She was just dealing with a lot of fatigue. Like she just energetically couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And now
I think a lot of moms, not even grandmas, feel that way.
And so what I saw with her, and when she first came in, she just was like, she was very kind, but you could just tell she's just
depleted. Yeah.
And after about 3-4 months of care, she was like a whole new human. She would come into the office dancing. And she was telling us that her office workers were like, what is happening? You're like, why are you just dancing and singing around the office? And she was like, I just feel so good.
Feel alive again.
And she was like, and now I'm outrunning my grandson. Like he's getting tired before I am.
Oh, that sounds good.
And it's like, why would we limit ourselves to just low back pain when I see it every day that that's possible? And it's been proven scientifically time and time again.
Yeah.
So with heart rate variability, The nerves surrounding that go to your heart come off of this area of the spine, obviously back here, but this area of the spine, and then the top neck bone, because the brainstem comes down through that top neck bone, and the vagus nerve comes off of that top.
That's the one that always bothers me, the atlas. Yeah.
And so if there's something going on here, especially, or with a bone of the spine through here that's impacting this part of the nervous system, it has the potential to impact how your heart beats and whether and how it responds to stress. And so that's why we measure the way that we do, because, you know, everybody's allowed to think about themselves however they'd like to.
Sure.
We like to look at everybody as a whole human being.
Yeah. Thanks for like kind of explaining that. And I think that like helps a lot of people understand the approach and how it can, help meet them where they're at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're, whether you do chiropractic or any other healing modality, you should be accountable to your care. And like I said earlier, if we see things happening in your test or like in your life experience, nothing's getting better, it's getting worse. Like, we've got to put our ego aside and not pretend we're like the person that's going to be here and say like something else is going on with you. And like, we care about humans more than we care about us being the best ever, So we'll refer people to somebody like Deirdre, Dr. Deirdre Corrigan, highly recommend her. She is stellar at what she does. She does something from a similar philosophy to what we have, and it's completely different, and it's going to help people in ways that we can't. Or we'll say your HRV is in the very dangerous zone. Like, you need to go to a medical doctor and get that looked at, because it could be really severe or something that's going on. We do the test to hold us accountable more than anything else. So many times you go to a healthcare something and they're like, this is what's wrong with you and this is what you need. This is what you need to do. And you're like, well, but why? What does it mean for me? And they're like, no, this is what you need to do. You need to do it. You can't make informed decisions if you don't know what's actually happening. Sure. And the human body is a complicated thing. Right. So all of our classes are meant to help, one, teach about the human body, how specifically the nervous system, because that's our bread and butter, how it works. And then we have other classes that help encourage a perspective shift. Like what we were just talking about, the class that was in my head it's my favorite one to teach. It used to be my least favorite. And then I used to not really like teaching it because I was like, how do I like really present this? But anyways, it's my favorite now. It's called Restorative Therapeutics versus Reorganizational Healing. Okay. And it's based on that concept of restorative therapeutics is like, just make the bad thing go away. Get me back to where I was before. It's like, well, if we go back to where you were before, what happened right after? Well, and what happened right after where you were before? Right. You had the thing that's bothering you. So rather than thinking of it that way, reorganizational healing is how can I see the thing, the pain, the difficulty with overstimulation or overwhelm, the digestive concern. How can I see that as my body talking to me? What is it telling me needs to change in my life? And then how can I reorganize my life so that I'm better supported through it? So so that's cool. And so we have classes about like those types of things. And then we do have more advanced, we call them advanced network classes, where we'll do demonstrations of our care. And we'll say, this is what the doctor is looking for on the table when we're adjusting you. This is how we know. So it's not like hidden behind a curtain. No. And if you don't come to the classes, it feels that way. And we try to do that as much as we can, because there actually is one of our studies. It was done with 2,800 people. It was a quality of life study. That's a lot of people. Yeah, it was done with 2,800 people. It was a quality of life study. And it wasn't done based on like this outcome, but it was an interesting outcome that came with it. They found that of those 2,800 people, the ones who reported the most increase in their quality of life were the ones who were the most aware of what was going on in their body. Oh, yeah, go figure. Yeah. And so we've done like a mini version of that case study in our office over the years, because our office has been in Boulder for 25 years. Oh, wow. Well, it makes sense because it's in the family, like you said. So Dr. Danny and Dr. Rochelle Knowles, who own the office, they opened it in 1999. Okay. And then so they did a mini version of that case study just with their own practice members. And they found that the people who were most engaged in their care, who went to the classes as often as they could, again, recognizing that you can't make every class,
Yeah.
especially if you're a mom with kids
Yeah,
and you got lots of
sure.
places to go. It's not always going to happen, and that's okay. But the people who were as engaged as they could be
Mhm.
and got to as many of the classes as they could actually had better results, better changes in
Right.
their tests and their images,
Yeah.
and in their
That's
report
cool.
of what they were feeling in their body too.
It makes me think about yoga a lot because it's about bringing awareness to the breath and to the body
Mhm.
and well, at least the physical asana. And so it's very similar where you really start to it takes many people years to realize that that's what it's really about,
Yeah.
or can be about. It has different places.
Gray area.
Yeah. But traditionally, right? And so anyways, like I think the real power of yoga or how you can unlock it is when you like develop that awareness of your body and of your breath and like you really connect with that. And that has healing powers kind of however you do it. Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me. This was really lovely. I loved learning more about what you do, and I'm looking forward to coming back into the office and getting care there. Yeah, is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
I would just say, like, anybody who's interested in learning more, like, please come into the office as a gift to anybody at the summit. We'll do your full evaluation, follow-up visit
Wow.
on us, a gift to you.
Yeah, and that's $275
Roughly.
value.
Yeah, roughly.
Wonderful.
So genuinely, like say, it's not about the money for us. We are a business, of course, but it's not about the money. It's about you and your health. And it would be an honor and a pleasure to be a part of anybody's journey in whatever capacity it looks like. And whether you start care or not, doesn't matter. Just come see what's going on. And then at least you know, and you can make decisions for you from a more empowered
making an
place.
informed decision. Yeah,
It's important.
where it's at.
Totally. So that's our gift as an office to anybody
Thank you so
on
much. That's wonderful.
Mhm.
Well, thanks for chatting with me and answering some of my critical questions. Sorry to put you in the hot seat, but I know a lot of my friends are scientists and they're gonna be thinking the same thing. And maybe people who aren't, like you're kind of like um it's good to hear about things from all angles.
Totally.
So,
Nothing's ever black and white. So
Yeah.
critical thinking is also really important.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right, we're at the end of our video. Hey, how's it going? It's good to see you.
See you. How are you doing?
Good. What a blast from the past to
I
see the video
know.
that we recorded a couple months ago. You look amazing. You look wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. You do too. How are Sophie and Jake?
They are great. Yes, we are going through third grade and preschool, and it's just like a really sweet age. And I have a fun
That's awesome. I'm
story.
excited
I was remembering when we went into the office for the kids' evaluation, and on the forms it said like, "What's your goal?" And we asked Jake, my 4-year-old, what his goal was, and he said, "I want to be a lion." And it's in the chart.
Yes.
So he wants to be a lion, and I think he's probably gonna carry
I love it.
that story around for the rest of his life.
That's awesome. I think everybody should want to be a lion.
I mean, yeah, why not? Um, I know a lot's been going on and that you're moving soon. Would you like to give everybody an update of
Yeah.
where it's going, where we can find you, what's happening in your life?
Yeah, so I have some pretty big things in the works, and I can't share about all of them quite yet, but
Fair
I
enough.
am moving. I'll be headed to Rhode Island very soon, actually. So unfortunately, pretty far from here, but Dr. Danny and Dr. Rochelle are still rocking the house down at Network Wellness Center, and it's still the best place that you can get this style of care in the area. So yeah, really exciting changes happening, and I'm really looking forward to what's next in the adventure.
Wow. Okay, Rhode Island. So keep me posted. And I'll let folks know once you're able to share kind of
Totally.
what's happening in the next chapter of your life. We will miss you here in Boulder for sure.
I'll miss it too. It's been a really fun going on 3 years now. So yeah, it's gonna be a big change, but it'll be a good one.
Yeah, that's a big 3 years is a big chapter, but
Mhm.
life's always got something planned for us.
Always got something.
Okay, let's see. I have a few questions that came in, so let me look over them. Um, I've tried chiropractic before, but it felt really forceful. How is network chiropractic different, and does it work for people who don't like traditional adjustments?
Mm. Yeah, that's a great question. I would say a large majority of the practice members that uh, go to Network Wellness Center or just to Network Spinal in general as a form of chiropractic, it's because they didn't find what they were looking for with traditional chiropractic. I hear it a lot, and I've experienced it myself. I've been under chiropractic care since I was 5 years old. So it can be very forceful, especially if it's not done in the most appropriate way for you.
Mm,
So network spinal technique is so different because one, your body is doing the work. Your body is smarter than any doctor will ever be. It doesn't matter what kind of doctor they are or how much we study or work, your body is always smarter. So, network spinal, based on research that we've done, has been designed to listen to your body and go to the area specifically that is causing the concern for your body. And then, I kid you not, the adjustment contacts are that light and that brief. Sometimes you barely feel it happening. It's very gentle.
I
And
know.
it'll get deeper as you go along through care.
Yeah.
Yes, Ciara can probably share more of that with you.
Yeah.
The adjustment contexts do get deeper, and you might experience some more like an impulse like traditional chiropractic. However, we don't really twist or pop or force anything to happen at all. If something's feeling forced, then that's not really what your body needs in that moment. So that's how network spinal is so different. And yes, it does tend to work really well for people who haven't found what they were looking for with traditional chiropractic because it's just very light, very gentle, when in tune with what your body's asking for.
Yeah, yeah, and I would definitely agree with that from my experience so far. Another question that came in is I've read that network chiropractic can lead to spontaneous movements or emotional releases. What's actually happening in the body when that occurs?
That's a great question. So to keep things really brief and without diving into the science like way too deep as
It's
I would really love
tempting.
to do, yeah, as I would really love to do, but we'd all be here for like 3 days straight.
Yeah.
Um, so in network spinal, there tends to be two healing waves that develop throughout care. We call them healing waves. The first one is called the respiratory wave or the breath wave. And that one starts developing first because, as if you heard in the video, as the connective tissue unwinds, your connective tissue surrounds every organ in your body, including your lungs. And so, as that unwinds and releases, your body is able to open itself up more. You can actually take deeper breaths. That's why my experience in my first network adjustment, I like just breathed out more than I ever have before because my body had more room to breathe.
Mm,
And so what will happen is you can see breath moving from the bottom of the spine all the way to the top of the spine. And that's one of the first things that we as doctors of chiropractic that practice network spinal look for to know
mm,
when your body's ready to go to the next level of care, amongst other things too, but that's one of the biggest. So you can see that breath moving. After that wave develops, you really want that wave to develop first because there's a study that they did in network spinal, and they found that if that respiratory wave develops first before the second one that I'm about to tell you about develops, you get better and more sustainable changes
mm,
throughout like a longer period of time in care. So once that one develops, then the adjustment contacts start becoming deeper, and you start working with receptors that communicate with muscles more when you go to those deeper adjustment contact depths. as you start working with those receptors that communicate with muscles, your body will start moving things for you.
Yeah.
Again, it's not us doing the work, it's your body doing it for you. So you might be in the waiting room watching folks get adjusted, because we do have an open adjusting room. And there's a reason for that, which we can talk about if we want to. But you'll see someone just like pick their head up off the table and then like set it back down, or they'll like move their head or their body, like, and it doesn't have to be like big. Not everybody is doing like big crazy movements. That's not what we're going for. We want things to happen as efficiently as possible. And efficiently is not like crazy, like flying off the table movements,
Yeah.
which you can find plenty of videos of versions of chiropractic care that encourage those kinds of movements. However, it's not efficient.
Mm.
It's not a sign of efficiency in the body. So you'll see people just lift their arm up off the table and put it back down, and that's what their body needed to do to make a change. And even, for me, I notice it more off the table.
Mm.
Everybody has a different timeline when they feel or notice the adjustments happening. For me and how my body processes information, I notice it a lot afterwards. So, like, for example, I was lifting something heavy. I think I was putting Christmas decorations away, and I went to put the box away. And all of a sudden, I had this really sharp pain. Like, I felt like a rib was out. I couldn't take a deep breath. It was super sharp.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this going on? Like, I couldn't figure out what to do. And finally, I was like, well, it'll just be what it'll be for right now. And I'm sure it'll work itself out, or I'll get adjusted tomorrow and it'll be better.
Yeah.
Um, but what was interesting is I like ended up sitting down and I was just sitting there, and my body all of a sudden wanted to like stretch up and out over to the side like this. I
Mhm.
wasn't doing it. My body just was like, I think we want to do this right now. And as soon as I just did what my body wanted me, like how it wanted to move, I felt a couple little like crackles, and then all of a sudden it was like, ah, I'm back to normal and I can breathe again. So the care is designed for your body to learn how to make its own change on its own, even when you're outside of the office. And your body will learn those healing strategies over time so that it can do that. And that's why you'll start to see movements on the table.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it does take some time for that to develop. If you're seeing really large movements on the table, that is somebody who's been under care for a very long time. So their body is just like ready to make things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting
Mm.
how everybody experiences it different. I've noticed that like my body will, as I've gone more, the like things, the way it adjusts and shifts has changed on the table. And it's still like they're sometimes they're pretty minor, and sometimes it's a little bit more noticeable, but it's still like odd because but like in a good way.
Yeah,
But I'm so
it is.
such a scientist. I want like ex like an explanation for everything, but like sometimes you just have to be okay with the magic. Like, it's like the magic of the body. The body
Yeah.
knows what it needs. And I've seen a lot of benefit, especially with my son who's 4. When he gets adjusted, he just kind of like it's fun to watch kids because they
Mhm.
don't have any inhibitions.
Yeah.
So they just do what their body
Yeah.
wants. And like with him, since we've gone, he hasn't had any more ear infections or any more croup. And we were getting like croup like 8 times a year. So this is like really awesome. And his tubes have come out at least in one ear, probably in the other ear. And we still haven't had those things, knock on wood. But we've had several colds this year. So we're feeling like happy, yeah, I'm happy. So thank you for, without you having responded to kind of my request for wellness professionals to come to the summit, which evolved into this weekday seminar
Mhm.
series. And then, Deirdre, also her recommendation, I wouldn't have known about it. So I appreciate it. And I don't have any more time for
Yeah.
questions because we're right at time. But I
Mhm.
really appreciate you being here and sharing everything you do. We will be posting this recording to YouTube for folks who weren't able to join us live, and I'll give that to you as well if you want to share it. And then our full length interview that you and I had is going to go live on my podcast, which is will come out this Friday. They're called The Planted Yogi. So I will share that with you as well. And definitely would love to dive deeper into some of these topics for maybe
Really.
future podcast episodes once you're settled in Rhode Island and we could hear about all the things that are unfolding in your life.
Absolutely. Excited to talk more. And if you want to learn more about network spinal specifically and you're in the area, all of the classes at Network Wellness Center, they do like multiple a month. They're all free to the community. Anybody and everybody can go. And you just, no strings attached. You just go and you can learn more about how the body works and the care works. So keep
Oh,
an eye out for what
cool.
they're doing over there.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, Sarah. You take care and good luck with everything, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. You too.
Right, bye, sweetie. Take care.
Bye.